As Cesar Romero would often coin, playing the Joker back in the day. Oh, how delicious it is. This is the Purple Code and Purple and Gold for Days. This is your boy Justin in Rochester on Twitter at JDay_24. I will be joined with my compatriot Mike Castellino and possibly a few others from the Purple Code here shortly. But if it wasn't obvious before, it better be now. This division is now officially the Vikings. They are the Kings in the North. And at the end of the day, there is no more discussion about whether this Packers team will get it figured out. The Vikings simply need to do what they need to do and take care of their own business. They no longer have to scoreboard watch. They no longer have to wonder anything. The Packers, putrid on offense, but for 2 drives. They had 1 defensive touchdown. They did absolutely nothing outside of 2 drives, 1 at the beginning and 1 at the end of the game. And officially, it's over. So before we get too much further in here, I want to thank Renali's Pizza and Pasta in Woodbury and Nautical Bowls in Woodbury as our core sponsors. So let's just get right into this. It's the Vikings bye week, so we're not going to be on for too long because this is not a Packers podcast per se, but this is relevant to the Minnesota Vikings. I don't even know what to say anymore. The Packers look so discombobulated. Their defense wasn't all of that horrible. They were giving up yards, but giving up 23 points on the road isn't, all that much to be ashamed of. But offensively, they just don't have it. Aaron Rodgers should just retire at their bye week. Again, if it wasn't obvious before, he just came back this year for the paycheck. His heart's not into it. Tom Brady's heart's not into it. The old guard is on its way out. It is as simple as that. And what the Vikings have here is an opportunity to not just win this division now. The Vikings have an opportunity to be a real contender in the NFC. Tampa Bay and whoever comes out of the South at this point, I'm not worried about them. Whoever comes out of the West, I still have my concerns about San Francisco. So realistically, you've got Philadelphia and you got Dallas. Who else do you really need to worry about at this particular point in time for the Vikings? I don't know. But for me, for right now, this division is ours. And this is a team that if it can just put things together, yes, they've relied on some luck a handful of times. We all know that. But at the same time, they now have everything in front of them. It is no longer a matter of, well, if this, then that. The only ifs you have are in your own house. You need not worry about the Green Bay Packers anymore. You need not worry about the Detroit Lions or Chicago Bears. You never did. You never had to. But for right now, enjoy this bye week, get healthy, and let's get right. We saw what the Cardinals did on Thursday. Okay, defensively, you're going to have to pack a lunch, but we have a home game, and this team is a different team at home than it is on the road, particularly on offense. Offensively, you're going to need to score at least 31 points against these Cardinals. To ask your defense to only give up 30 or less, even at home, is a big ask. So get 31 points on the board, bare minimum. Yes, Taylor Heineke looked halfway decent today. He did just enough to beat a mediocre Packers team. Don't let Taylor Heineke do to you what he just did to the Green Bay Packers. Come out and win both of these games, get to Buffalo 7-1, and then let the national media finally start talking about us outside of Colin Cowherd. Yeah, Colin Cowherd said that, this team might win 13 games, and even the most stout Vikings fans thought that might be a little too much. But having said all of that, this team has everything it could possibly want. It has a first-year head coach where everything's not going perfectly yet, and they're still 5-1, and their only loss is to a team that is currently unbeaten. To me, you could not have asked for a better start. You could not have asked for a better start for your rival and everybody else in your division. This division is garbage besides us right now. It is straight trash right now. I never thought I would see the day that the Packers with Aaron Rodgers would look this garbage. Yes, I had a hunch that they would look this bad, behind Jordan Love or whoever the next non-Hall of Fame quarterback the Green Bay Packers are going to end up having after 30 years of having Hall of Fame quarterbacks. But this team right now is straight up trash. That is the Green Bay Packers, and this Vikings team no longer has any excuses. I know, first-year head coach, getting adjusted to new systems, both offensively and defensively. As I have said, that statute of limitations is over. It is done with. Don't want to hear about it anymore. All I want to hear is about how this team is no longer looking to just win a division, but is looking to get either the 1 or the 2 seed. Anything short of the 3 seed at this particular point with our schedule, what we got left is unacceptable. Yes, we have to go to Washington, the same team that we just saw beat the Green Bay Packers. Yes, we have to play at home against the New York Jets, the team we saw beat the Green Bay Packers last week. This is where those are 2 games in particular where that's where even just getting wins separates you, but it also separates you saying, well, they didn't just beat a team in the Packers because they beat them, but they were actually good. So come out and then do something more to it than that. Don't just squeak by. At the end of it, this schedule, who do you see on the schedule here? Put in the comments who you see in this schedule that can actually pose a halfway decent threat to us besides Buffalo and besides Dallas. Okay. If you want to talk to me about the Jets and Giants, talk to me about the Jets and Giants. I'm okay with that. We're still trying to figure out what those two particular teams are. At the end of it, I still have my concerns about the Jets defensively. I don't fear either one of those quarterbacks, but I fear the New York Giants because they are a very well coached team from the standpoint of could they be a threat to beating us. And I still fear the defensive line in particular, but the defense as a whole of the New York Jets. So put it in the comments here and tell me what you got going on. I got my boy SK. How are you?
Yo, man, I'm chilling, man. Just got a little downtime, got these kids to sleep, and just enjoying the Packers losing.
Yeah. What's up, Mike?
That's always nice.
Guys. What's up?
How was your hiking trip, SK?
My hiking trip?
I don't know. Rap said you were up in the mountains or something last night, and that's why he had to fly so long.
Oh, yeah. Nah. Yeah, no, I was just in a bad reception area.
All right.
But I'm at home now, so.
Well, before I get to you, Mike, SK, give us your initial thoughts of this Packers game in general and specifically where the Vikings are at. And, my opening rant was right now, we don't think about the Lions and the Bears. We have now officially moved the Packers into the territory of we don't even think about them anymore. This division is garbage outside of us. So what are your thoughts moving forward here?
I mean, we got to keep winning at this. It's on us. Like, the division is being kind of handed to us on a silver platter. But you can't just kind of sit back and just kind of coast and feel like the division is just right there. But you got to keep winning your games, man, because you never know. I hate to say it, and it's so cliche. It's still Aaron Rodgers. So they're, 3-4 right now?
3-4. So they're 2.5 games. Well, technically 3 games behind us now, so to speak.
Yeah. Can we go over their schedule just fast? 2 seconds. Can we just let's drink this in, guys. Let's drink this in.
The Packers schedule or the Vikings schedule? Which one? Or both?
The Packers.
All right, I'll pull it up here right now.
I'm gonna hop right back on, guys. Hold on.
Yeah, that's
fine.
No
worries, okay.
So the Packers schedule's coming up here right now. All right, so obviously we know next week they go Sunday Night Football to the Bills. Then they go at the Lions, and they're at home against the Cowboys and Titans. Then on the road against the Eagles and Bears. Home Rams, road Dolphins, home us, home Lions.
They play the Rams? Did you say the Rams?
Yeah, so we play Arizona next week. Their crossover game is the Rams.
I honestly think they lose to the Rams and the Bills. So that puts them right there at 6. I honestly think it might be time to say the Packers are probably sunk. I mean, you lose to the Commanders and the Jets back-to-back weeks. You're on mute, Justin.
Yeah, sorry. The kiddo was asking me a question. That's fine. Go ahead.
I wasn't sure.
No, so I'm sorry. You were saying 6 for what? 6 losses by the Packers?
Just off those games you rattled off. Mm-hmm. And that's not including us because I don't want to be as crazy biased. Right. They're not beating the Bills next week. There's no chance. That's 5 easily. That's easily 5 losses.
Right.
I think they lose to the Rams. I honestly do. Their offense is atrocious.
They might. Like, if that game was in LA, I would say definitely.
The Commanders stink. They stink.
If that game was in LA, I would say that would be, I would say 75-20% loss. Right now, I would say 55-45 loss for them. So, yes, I agree that that's a game that they're more likely to lose. I give them a better shot being that it's at home. But they could very easily lose to the Cowboys. They could very easily lose. Philly, they got to go on the road.
They're not winning that. That's an L.
So you got Buffalo and Philly. That's 2 losses. And between Dallas and the Rams, that's a possible third. Dolphins maybe. So you're right.
They still have to play Miami?
6 losses. Yeah, they still got to play Miami. They play Miami on Christmas Day.
They're so done. They're so done. Because remember how I said the Vikings schedule was perfect? The Packers has been the complete opposite. They have ran into every team at the worst possible time. They ran into the Jets when they were streaking. They ran into the Commanders without Wentz. Honestly, if Wentz is in, they probably win. Heineke did us a nice solid as Vikings fans. The former Viking gets it done on the bye, where we get to sit there and laugh at the Packers. I think they're sunk. I don't even think wild card is possible for them. With the way they're playing, you lose to – this is the thing. I'm someone who doesn't like to overreact. You lose to the Jets and the Commanders, you're done. You're done. How are you going to recover? And that's not taking into account how many divisional games have they played, the Packers? Did they play Chicago? They played Chicago once, so they still have 4 division games left.
Yeah, they got 2 against the Lions and then 1 against us in Chicago. That's what they got left.
Like, they're going to lose one of those just by circumstance. They're not going to go 5-1 in the division with the way they're playing. They're not.
No.
So I think it might be time to say the cheese is melting and it's time to. I think they're cooked. I honestly think they're done. I said it to you yesterday. I'm going to keep the same energy because that's who I am. I'm honest. I say it as it is. I think the Packers are finished. How do they rebound? They needed to win this game, and they lost. So
no, I agree.
I love it.
No, SK, we said it last night on our late night show that this was a must-win game for the Green Bay Packers considering their schedule. I'll say this about the schedule, then I'll let SK respond to what you said there. Our schedule and their schedule is pretty similar. The only difference is that they play the Rams and we play the Cardinals, and they play the Titans and we play the the Colts. I keep saying Falcons. I'm thinking Matt Ryan and Falcons, but I believe those are the only 2 differences in games. But to your point, there might be one more, but yeah, they played the Bucks and who did we play? The Saints. So those are the 3 games differently. But to your point, the Vikings have had everything line up from them perfectly, and the Packers have almost the complete inverse where everything is not lined up with them there. So to me, I agree with you. There's no way the Packers don't lose at least 6 games at this particular point. SK, your thoughts on the schedule for the Packers, and realistically, do we really – I mean, I jokingly said it halfway serious just to say we can put the Packers in the same category as the Lions and the Bears, that we don't even need to think out of them. You know, tongue is firmly planted in cheek there, but what say you? I mean, are they just done?
I didn't get to hear the whole remaining schedule. Can you rattle them off real quick for me?
So, yeah, they go Sunday Night Football next week at the Bills, most likely a loss. Then they have at the Lions, home against the Cowboys and Titans, on the road against the Eagles, on the road against the Bears, home against the Rams, at the Dolphins, home against us on New Year's Day, and then at the Lions to close out the season.
So they're losing to the Bills. They're going to lose to the who do we have? What was it? Bills on Sunday night. Then who else?
So they got Bills, Lions.
Lions is a toss-up.
Cowboys,
but
Titans, Eagles.
I'm going to go with Packers in that game.
Cowboys, Titans, Eagles.
Cowboys, I feel, is a toss-up. You kind of don't know what you're getting with the Cowboys, but very good defense. So I'm probably leaning Cowboys on that one. So I'll probably say that's an L for the Packers right there. So that's 1-2 in their first 3, their next 3. Then you said after the Cowboys, who?
Well, they got the Titans after the Cowboys, but that's on a Thursday night game, so a quick turnaround game. But both Cowboys and Titans are at home. So I'm going to say, well, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay.
For Green Bay?
For Green Bay, yes.
I mean, for them to get back into it or – turn their season around, it's going to take an epic collapse from the Vikings. I hate to say it, and it's not going to happen. I'm not saying it's happening, but, I mean, we're the Vikings. Bad things always seem to come our way, but seems like we're headed in a different direction, so I'm not going to even put that energy out there. But I'm not going to sit here and say the Packers season is over. I can't. Like, I know how bad they've looked. But you just never know. It's still Aaron Rodgers. I hate to say it. As much as I despise the guy in that franchise, you still can't cross him out just yet because I got to see us not start winning games, but continue to win games. And it's making convincing.
Can I just add a quick question? I'm going to head out of here. I'm going to go watch the Niners game. I'm going to be really fast. I'm not going to stay on long, so I'm going to end it here. This is exactly why. This week proves exactly why I've said to everyone, stop being mad that the Vikings are winning close. And not talking to you guys, and I've heard that complaint so much. Who cares? A win is a win. The Commanders just beat the Packers. The Panthers just beat the Buccaneers.
Whooped them.
They destroyed them. You don't complain about winning in this league. Okay, one other point I want to add, and I don't know if this has been addressed. I'll be really fast. Udo. I'm not going to get into the details of it. What he did yesterday was absolutely disgraceful. We talked about culture, right? That's what Kevin O'Connell and Quessy have talked about since they got here. Do you need to make a statement? Put an end to that. He should not be on this roster tomorrow. he should be immediately cut. He's a bottom end guy who, even if he was a starter, I would still think about cutting him highly and probably still doing it. This guy absolutely embarrassed himself on a bye. How pathetic. Cut him. Absolute disgrace to the Vikings organization. Oli Udoh should be immediately dismissed. Go and promote someone from within. You drafted that kid. What was his name? Verdarian Lowe anyway. So it's not like you don't have a guy you believe in to be the rotational backup tackle. You also have Blake Brendel. Cut Oli Udoh. Be done with that. I no longer want to see him on this team. Anyway, I'm going to head out here, guys. Take it easy, everyone. Skol Vikes.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey.
Yeah, I don't necessarily disagree. I mean, we'll let due process play itself out. But saying something ridiculous, no, that we almost got through the bye week without something Vikings like happening, with something being on the police radar and all that other good stuff. We almost got there. It's unbelievable. But having said all that. Yes, exactly. To your point, though, SK, and I'm kind of in the same mode. I'm rejoicing in the loss, but at the same time, we just got done talking about the Packers losing to the Giants, the Jets, and the Commanders. We have all three of those teams, so please, Vikings, do us a solid and not fall into the trap of me having to go back and referencing this video to say, "Ha, just kidding." But real quick, before I throw out my last couple toss-outs here, too, you do want to thank Rinaldi's Pizza and Pasta. They're on Wood Lane Drive in Woodbury off of Valley Creek Road at I-494. They're going to sponsor this portion of the segment here. I will say this. You're right. I think part of the reluctance that Vikings fans have, yourself and myself in particular, is we've seen this show before. We have seen the Vikings start out 5-1 or 6-0 and seen the Packers be 2-4 or 3-3, look like they're absolutely done. And guess what? At the end of the year, we're still sweating it out. So to the point about the cultures and whatnot, hopefully – what we have seen this team turn around from finding ways to lose close games last year into winning some close games this year, hopefully that can turn around not only just on a game-by-game basis, but over the course of the season as well. So I guess I'll toss it to you. Early thoughts on the Arizona game here next week.
I mean, just like Mike kind of touched on, man, every game is close for every team. We're not the only team going through this. So this is just the NFL today. You got to find a way to win the game. In Arizona, for some odd reason, is better on the road than they are at home. I think they just got their first home win this season. So we should win the game, just like we felt we should have won the last 4 games or 3 games, which is what we did. But we always make it tough on ourselves. But when you look at the entire NFC and the majority of the NFL, if we're being honest, outside of maybe 4 teams. I mean, Kansas City's down 10-0 right now.
I told people don't sleep on San Francisco. I told people that.
It's the 49ers, but, the Chiefs are considered a top 3, top 4 team in this league, an elite team. They're struggling too. Tampa Bay, like Mike said, just got blown out by Carolina today. Tom Brady looks washed. He looks terrible. But that's the NFL. It's ugly football this season, at least on the offensive side of the ball. But we're finding ways to win. So that's just the mentality we got to have for the rest of the season. I'm the worst one at this. I have high expectations for this team because I know the talent we have, and it seems like we have the right coach with the right attitude. So
right next year.
I expect us to go out and blow some teams out, but the reality of the thing is the NFL is not like that this year, and that's not the 2022 Minnesota Vikings. We are one of those teams that's just going to have to muck out our victories any way we can, and that's what we're doing. Can't complain. So,
no, I'm not going to complain at this particular point in time. Yes, would we like to see more? Yes. And I think part of the reason we want to see more is because we want to see more of something that we can reliably think could be sustainable. I think, and that's the word I've been using the last couple of weeks, is what is sustainable and what isn't. Getting all of these lucky breaks is not going to be sustainable. So you've got to find a way to find something that is. But to your point, we just got to take care of our own business. That's it. Let's get a couple shouts to some people here in the chat here. Pablo, defense. The difference is Kevin O'Connell. Yes. That's exactly what you just said. To Evo, thanks for joining us. I don't know if we can beat the guy you have. I'll say this. I was going to lead off.
Man.
Taylor.
He's a winner. He is a winner, man.
Not for nothing, but I think we can just safely say from our perspective, it's just the weekend of Taylor, right? Nobody should be surprised that Taylor Heineke got a win against his hometown team the same weekend that another Taylor blow up the world as well. What's up, Rap? Thanks for joining here.
Rap, my guy, what's popping?
We got about 5 to 10 more, so if you want to join in, you certainly can.
Let's go, Tommy.
There you go. There you go. This portion of the show is sponsored by Nautical Bowls. They are also in Woodbury as well. Want to give them some love as well. They're off the intersection of I-94 and Woodbury Drive, right there on Hudson Place. So, having said all of that, putting the off the field old Udo business on the side here, what do you? Because I haven't had a chance to talk to you directly. What would you say the two biggest keys, one offensively and one defensively, that really the Vikings are going to need to have used this week to do their quote unquote self scouting? That's going to make the biggest difference to be able to do something more sustainable and just keep running off these games.
Just particularly against the Cardinals, or for the rest of the season?
Rest of the season is fine.
Rest of the season, first and foremost, for this defense. Where do I start, right? I mean, there's so much you can complain about on the defensive side of the ball, and then there's also at the end of the day, you look like, well, they're not giving up too many points. Like, we're supposed to be a bend don't break defense. I would just say stop the run. Focus on stopping the run, because when it looks like we're going to make the playoffs, I'm not going to get too ahead of ourselves, but it looks like we're going to be in the playoffs and possibly hosting a playoff game. The biggest thing in the playoffs is you got to be able to stop the run, because when these games get tight, just like they've been all season long, you got to be able to run the ball. If you need to chew clock, get a couple first downs to wrap up a game, you got to be able to run the ball. So I think stopping the run on the defensive side of the ball, I think that should be number one. Our passing defense is going to be what our passing defense is. We just got to accept that. It'll get a little better, I believe, but it is what it is. That's today's NFL. Offensive side of the ball, more consistency, man, because we see the flashes of what this offense can be,
right?
But it's just not consistent, and that's the frustrating part. I think that's even more frustrating than when you have an offense that just struggles. You know what the offense is. You know what you're going to get from that offense every weekend. This offense, it's like, I don't know if we're going to go out and score 38 points, or if we're going to muck out a 19-16 victory. Like, I don't know, but I would just say consistency, man. It looks like we're starting to marry the running game with the passing game, and we're getting a little more comfortable with that scheme. But yeah, consistency, and then stopping the run on the defensive side of the ball.
A lot of content creators, both professionally and those who do it as a side gig just for the fun of it, have brought up all of these, let's sign this player or trade for that player. Do you buy into any one or two players that you would like to see, or are you kind of like me, where unless it's a really steal of a deal that doesn't completely blow up your salary cap for years to come, just content with what we got and let's just take what we've got and get more consistent with it? What are your thoughts there?
Yeah, no, I mean, you always got to look for places to improve your team, and there is spots that we do need to improve. The whole OBJ thing, I kind of fed into that a little bit. I'm not completely opposed to that, but it's obvious he's gonna want to, a little lump of change, and I don't know if we have that type of money to give him. And on top of that, I don't think we've fully opened up this playbook to where we're scheming things up for KJ. We're just kind of digging into, okay, let's get Thielen involved a little bit. We got JJ going. He knows where he needs to be. He's getting open. Let's start scheming up for Thielen. I don't even think we've gotten to the point to where we're scheming up for another option in the passing game, which hopefully this is what this bye week is for. We're implementing that. Because going into the season, everybody's talking about 3 deep 2.0.
Oh, that needed. Oh my
JJ, Thielen, KJ, like that was like the big kind of like push and hype going into this season. So I think it's gonna take a little time, and hopefully this, like I said, this bye week was that time to implement scheming some things up for KJ. I do like. Side note, I do like how we're scheming some, fancy stuff, I guess you can say, for Rager. Regardless of what you feel about the guy, he has some speed, and if you can get him in space, can make a play for you. So I do like how we're mixing up a little, trickery with Rager and doing a bunch of different stuff. So OBJ, it would be cool for the right price, but I believe tight end is more of a immediate need than another receiver is. If we can go out there and get Gesicki for a
I was just going to ask you about him. Yeah.
For a reasonable deal, which I don't think the Dolphins are going to give him up for super cheap, like I would do anything in my power to make that happen. Gesicki is legitimate. If you can add that to your offense in that tight end room, then it makes this offense that much dangerous, and you feel a lot more secure with that tight end position. Because Irv Smith is Irv Smith. I don't hate him. I don't love him. He could do a lot better. I felt he was going to be a lot better than what he is, and the whole injury things kind of mix things up. But another tight end like Gesicki, I think that would add a whole nother element to this offense.
I was going to say this. When I was looking at that, I'm looking at his number. Now, again, we have less than $1 million in cap space, and Gesicki's cap number is $11 million basically this year. Now, it would be prorated. We don't have a 4th round pick. I would give up a 5th and maybe a 4th, in the future or something that conditionally comes a 3rd or something like that. But the problem with that is that you'd have to do a lot of salary cap gymnastics to make that guy work. Now, somebody did pose a question to me. Would you give up a 3rd round pick for this guy under the guise that Miami would pick up, 2/3 of his remaining salary this year? And of course, then under the guys that you'd have to sign him to an extension, which then means, you're just going to take Irv Smith for the rest of his rookie contract. And I said, that interests me a little bit. I don't know about the long-term extension part, but just looking at the part of would I give up a 3rd next year if Miami took on the bulk of his salary so you didn't have to do that many gymnastics? I'm not saying I would, but that does at least pique my interest there. If Miami were to say, yeah, we'll take your 3rd and we'll take on 2/3 or more of his salary, whatever the case may be, to make it work, would you do that deal even though it would cost you a 3rd round pick?
Absolutely. I mean, how old is Gesicki? 28, 26? 27.
Right.
So that's giving up a 3rd round pick. Like you said, you're going to have to eventually give him an extension. Is he on a contract year? Is that why they're trying to get rid of him?
Yeah, they just franchise tagged him. So he was drafted in the 2nd round in 2018. So this is his 5th year. So yeah, that's why. So he was a 2nd round pick. So they had to franchise him. They didn't have the 5th year option. They had to franchise him. So he's on a 1-year deal.
So
right
yeah, so if you give up that 3rd round pick, that's you saying I plan on re-signing this guy and giving him money. So if you were to do that, then you would have to expect to one of these guys like Adam Thielen, Dalvin Cook, guys that a lot of people are saying they shouldn't be getting paid as much as they are. We could go a cheaper route and be just as effective, or they need to take a pay cut.
Mm-hmm.
One of those is going to have to happen if you're going to give a guy like Gesicki a extension, because people are forgetting that Justin Jefferson extension.
That's
coming up. It's coming. It's coming. So you got to use your money very, very wisely, because Justin Jefferson is going to be the number 1 paid wide receiver in the entire league when it's time to pay him. So you got to make sure you have money for that. So that's the thing I think that would prevent us. It's just simply tweaking that money around and being prepared for the future. So I would love to have Gesicki. I just don't see it happening. I would give up a 3rd if that were the case, and they would take on majority of his salary, and we are able to give him a 3-year, 4-year extension after this year. But I don't think that's possible.
I'll say this. If we end up getting a different player, whether it's signing him as a free agent or making some trades, I'm all okay. That's fine. But I'm not going to be disappointed if we don't, because we are still walking that tightrope of this quote unquote competitive rebuild. This team has talent on it that wasn't properly utilized to the fullest extent, and we're seeing some of that. Now, again, it is a small sample size. It's only 6 games, so let's also keep that in mind. And we've also been playing, some garbage teams, backup quarterbacks, and we've gotten a lot of luck that we haven't had very many injuries outside of Lewis Cine. So having said that, I don't know that this is the team where you throw in caution to the wind and throw away draft picks for future years and handcuff yourself too much salary cap wise to be able to remain competitive. But if they did, okay, great. But if they don't, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with saying, you know what? Let's just run with what we got. You guys decided in the offseason to fire your coach and GM, and you didn't trade away players like Cousins, Harrison Smith, Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, saying, no. We've got something in here to where we can just run this whole thing back. So if you've made the choice to run it back, then have faith in the guys that you ran it back with, which is what made your decision to go the direction you went in the first place. I'm not willing to say here that it was the right choice. It's looking good so far. I mean, this was the year to, if you were going to take a step back and, take a year or two to rebuild, this was the year to do it when you have a first-year head coach and when you have a lot of guys that are on veteran non-rookie contracts that still had some level of tradability to get some assets in return. By making the choice not to do that, they said, no, this is what we're going to do. So have faith in the guys that you had and that you said, no, we are a good enough team to run it back with what we got. So if they don't make any moves, I'm not going to be all that disappointed for it here. So
yeah, and it might be the right decision looking at how wide open and how this division is, how it's just kind of being held or placed out there for anybody to take. And we have a stranglehold on the top of it. So it may have been the right decision and the right timing to say, you know what, let's run this thing back. But I actually have a trade idea that would be great for both parties, is that Gesicki to Minnesota, they take on some of that salary. Maybe we shoot them a 4th, 5th round pick. Mm-hmm. And I know they're struggling at the tackle position, so we can send Ali Udo over there back to Miami, right at home where he wants to be, and he can stock any girl he wants right there in the confines of Miami. And I think both sides win. They get a starting tackle. Hopefully he's not suspended on their case. But I think it works out for both sides,
I would do that deal. You had to twist my arm a little bit there, SK, but I would do that deal. I think I'm going to throw it to say, hey, let's just wrap up with our sponsors one more time, unless you've got anything else there, but I'll throw it back to you in a second. So a couple of announcements. First off, please go to YouTube and subscribe to The Purple Code. That's our new YouTube page. Please subscribe to the Facebook page called The Purple Code Backup Page. The old one is gone and lost forever. It's unfortunate, but that just is the way it is at this particular point. If you guys could also, if you all don't mind, please go to YouTube and subscribe to Purple and Gold for Days. That's my new individual channel that I will be dropping content on as well. You'll still see people familiar. Mike will be on with me, Rap and SK, and guys will be on there with me on occasion, dropping some stuff as well as the fact that even though it was the bye week, we are still going to have our full lineups of shows here this week on the Purple Code. So right off the bat, myself, Mike, and Kyla will be on tomorrow at 6:30 Central Time, leading into Monday Night Football with a special guest, Nicole from Vancouver. Rap and Dave will go Tuesday. Grade 8 was off this week, weren't they? I don't.
Yeah, they took a bye week too, it seemed like, with the Vikings.
I'm sure that they're going to have a little bit of Kirk Cousins positivity content to go over.
Yes, sir. MVP Kirk, fifth in MVP odds, man.
Well, you know what? I'm going to save that for another time. I'm going to save that for. I'm going to save that.
Start, right?
One thing I'm going to let people know. Let me finish up with the lineup. Jamie and Casey on Thursdays, and then you and Rap on Saturday, as well as the pregame and postgame shows next week here. I'm going to say this on my channel. I did repost a video that Mike and I did from July on the Purple Code debating Kirk Cousins versus Dante Culpepper. I'm going to be doing a follow-up video to that partway through the season here. One of the things we said at the end is we'll reevaluate at the end of the season when both quarterbacks have been the starter for the Vikings for a full 5 seasons each and see where they're at. But I'm going to be doing a follow-up onto that as to, do I still feel that Dante I would take, or has Cousins overtaken him, or at the very least closing the gap. But having said that, we're going to have all kinds of content, as we always do here on the Purple Code. SK, anything else that I have forgotten to mention about our lineup this week, or anything else?
Man. Just make sure you guys tap in again, help us out, like and follow the Facebook page, the Purple Code Backup page. And we're getting this thing going. We're starting new. So hope to see you guys on there. Appreciate you guys tapping in. And blow pack blow, man. Gotta love it every time they lose.
Every time they lose. Blow pack blow, go back home. Come up with a more. Stop talking about us ripping off the skull chant and how unoriginal that is, when your extent of originality is go back go. I mean, come on. I mean, seriously, who came up with that?
Give me a break.
I do want to thank one more time Rinaldi's Pizza and Pasta in Woodbury, as well as Nautical Bowls in Woodbury. Give them some love today. I've been to Rinaldi's once. Their pizza's great. Their wings are outstanding. But I'm telling you, it's the cheese bread, man. That's the one. That's the one that gets me. Having said all that, again, subscribe to all of our channels. Purple Code on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. Facebook is called Purple Code, the backup page, YouTube. And if y'all don't mind, shameless plug. Again, my new channel is called Purple and Gold for Days. Thanks again for joining us here on the Purple Code. We appreciate you. And once again, Packers, they're done. Let's just say it all together. El Finito. Thanks again. Skol Vikes. Have a great day.
Skol.